Wayne Thiebaud, first of all, let me thank you for being in conversation with me, and let me congratulate you for being honored by the California College of the Arts. Much deserved honor in so many realms of art which you have made a strong impact on. In fact, you read about Wayne Thiebaud and you start reading about somebody who's a major figure in the figurative movement, a major figure in realism and neorealism, even a cartoonist who a lot of your fans don't know who has drawn Goofy and Mickey Mouse, and the list goes on. But I read where you described yourself as just an old-fashioned painter.
That's what I am.
Tell us about that. I mean, you see yourself as really just that for the most part?
Yes, it keeps me away from being called an artist. It is something I want to avoid because I don't know what in the world art is. So there's this abstract concept of art, which is obviously a wonderful thing, but that differs from a painting, which is just some flat thing that doesn't move, doesn't speak, and is a very concrete thing.
Is that part of the hesitation of being called an artist? Because there's so many people who make that division between art and commercial art.
No, that's perfectly okay. It's just that it's a realization that it's a craft as well as a activity that you pursue like a scientist to try to find something as fresh or new or different as you can in light of your awareness of art history and your heroes.
But you've earned the title artist, and the whole sense of what your work, it's funny that you refer to all this work as sinful in some way. You say, all my sins, I'm struck by that. I mean, I know it's a joke, but in many ways,
art is an unnatural act, painting particularly, because you're lying all the time. It's a wonderful fiction. Painting doesn't do anything. So it's easy to say, well, painting is dead. And a lot of people like to say that. And it's true. But you've got to go there like it's Lazarus, and you yourself is the one that brings it to life. With your involvement, with your empathic powers, you participate in that wonderful little painted world. It's a miracle.
It's funny how when you talk about it with the passion of someone who believes that there's a miraculous quality to this. There's something that's amazing and miraculous both. I keep hearing those words from you.
Yes, I do. I love painting.
To create it as much as to view it and be a part of it by seeing it?
That's another thing. It's the hard work, and you make mostly errors, and you hate yourself, and you hate the paintings, and you get yourself all worked up over nothing. Have to start again.
Does that go with your work ethic, being hard on yourself too, being tough on yourself?
I think you have to be, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That work ethic is unmistakably, besides brains, that's probably the most important thing. Those students that stay over, don't walk out of class, as soon as it's over, those are the ones you love.
But the mystery is what not only drives you to create, to paint, to teach, but what can be infectious to them.
Well, they just have to fall in love and go to work. And that's enough.
You agree with Freud, happiness is work and love?
What a good idea.
Does it work for Wayne Thiebaud?
Yeah, I like to work. They asked Matisse why he works so much. He said, you don't understand, work is a paradise for me. Your own little heaven.
And yet we have all this association of work with being toil and hard on yourself and laboring and sweating.
Sweat of your brow.
Yes. But you love your work and have loved your work your whole adult life.
Not my own work. I do not love my own work.
I'm not talking about the process of creating the work.
I love that.
Yeah. Do you paint for yourself or do you paint for the community you live in and those who are going to be observing your work?
I think three worlds make up our world of painting. One is the self. One is the history of our tradition. And the other is what we call realism, or our realist sense. If you focus too much on any of those, usually you run into trouble. So the public is very much in my mind. And as, again, Richard Wollheim asserts, there is such a thing as the beholder's share. You're going to look at paintings, you have an obligation to find out what it is. If you're going to read literature, you better read literature. Otherwise, you get away from what's the most important thing of all, and that's slow living, slow looking, slow eating, slow thinking.
So the person who is looking at a Wayne Thiebaud painting becomes a collaborator in that work?
I hope so. I hope I see them smile.
Your teaching has inspired many. Your painting and your work has inspired many. And since this is an award given to you by a college, and since you've been an educator for so long, give us a sense of what you tell students about being inspired. Particularly, I ask that question because a lot of students who study art feel, is this going to get me a job? Is this going to be open to any kind of market type of opening?
Bad career choice. You better not try to find a living, make a living in art. You better find a way in which you can make a life that means art, meaningful to you. I urge them to stay in their communities and contribute and develop where they are and give back to the community by organizing, painting galleries, make your own galleries, and everybody doesn't have to trundle off to New York City. I mean, it's a loss for your communities.
What about the idea, though, that the Bay Area needs perhaps more of that strength of an art community? Do you feel that way?
It's quite a community.
But some would say New York overshadows it and eclipses it, just intimating what you had said a little bit.
It's okay to be in the shadows. They just shouldn't make that distinction that it's only California painting. That's like saying, as I told, that's like calling it California mathematics, California science.
So there is no California
Only
painting?
one art, only one painting world, and that's the whole business.
Are you saying that it's universal, I think, yes?
I think so, yeah.
Even if the work is located in place and has everything to do with place and comes out of place?
Yes, I think that's the most universal. Finding something that says something important or interesting about where you are, that's a universal. If you try to be universal, then you're in an endless chasing of the purple flag. It's not there.
It's often a word that's taken too seriously, but what do you think about, or do you even think about your legacy, what you want people to remember most about your work and about what you've produced and created?
I guess a couple of things, particularly teaching. That for me was a very, very big part of my life. I enjoyed it, I hated it, I tried to do as well as I could. I felt privileged to work with young people. They kept me honest. So that part of the legacy is I feel good about. The painting, how you fit into something like art history, it seems to me an awful vacuous position. How in the world do you ever feel in any way related to our greatest painters, Vermeer, Velázquez, Picasso? Such a glorious world, but you would like to think that you're at least part of that community in some small way, that you don't ignoble it. And that would be my hope, I guess.
If I could just respond as someone who's appreciated your work lo these many years, I think that your work has been loved and cherished and will continue to be and appreciated by many people. And I love your humility, I must say. I'm struck by it. And I also love the fact that you speak so movingly and poignantly about teaching, as someone who's been a teacher, well, almost as long as you've been a teacher. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. I'm blessed.
And we're blessed to have you in our lives.